Good afternoon and welcome to the vlog. Today I've brought you along to Hankley Common. Now I brought you here because I want to show you something rather interesting. We came here about 3 weeks ago with our friends over at Goggle Vlog, and the area looked quite interesting, but I then discovered some interesting bits about this place, and we're going to see if we can find it, see what we can see.
There's a hole in the grey sky where the sun comes through. Baby, can't you see the patch of blue? There's a silver lining if you care to see that things aren't as dark as they sometimes seem to be.
A little bit of background about what we're going to see today. I think 1943, I think. World War II has been rumbling on for some time. The Germans had tried to capture the UK and failed, and as a result this gave the Allies the opportunity to come up with a plan. Now the plan they came up with was one called Operation Overlord, what we know as D-Day. The Germans had reinforced the area to make re-invasion much more difficult, and that is in part what we're doing here today, because here at Hankley Common the Canadian military built an exact replica of the North Atlantic Wall, something the Germans built so that they could practice attacking it, but more precisely they could practice how they could destroy it. The wall the Canadians built still stands, complete with battle scars. Let's see what we see.
Everything changes, nothing stays the same. Everything changes, only change remains. Change.
Combine that with even a small amount of heavy armament, I don't think I'd fancy trying to take this on. It's hard to get your head around. This is nearly, no it's not nearly, it's what, 75 or so years, nearly 75 years old. You see how serious the Germans took defence of the northern French coast, and B, how serious the Allies took to trying to break this down. That is past the wall. I'm going to try and get up on top of the bit in a minute. Wow. I hazard a guess that we would be the inland side of the wall. This looks to me perfect for infantry to take up positions, and if you're way down there on a French beach trying to storm this wall, I think you had your I think they had a fair old task ahead of you. And they made a good job. Don't know if you can see. So, goes quite a distance off in that direction. Goes quite a distance off in that direction. So they built a substantial chunk of the wall. There's a plaque. There's a plaque here that explains what this wall is about. The Atlantic Wall, built in 1943 during the Second World War by the Canadian troops. German and Atlantic anti-tank defence. The wall was in two sections connected by heavy steel gates and were a section of the dragon's teeth. You see in here, it's not just concrete, there is a lot of steel reinforcements there. And to get an idea of how big this is, that is some serious height. I'm going to say this is all guesses, but I would suggest that is where the infantry would stand on, right, I'm guessing that side would have been inland, and that side down there would have been where the beach would be in northern France. Don't need to be too tall actually. I'm 6'2" and I can see clear over that. Probably not right down the base of this side of the wall. I don't think anybody really expected soldiers to be able to get that close. Even attempts at this side just to blast away, as it was probably the heaviest munitions that the Allies would have. Tanks, field guns. But that then brings us to this. In fact, there's two of these. How is it that that was achieved? I think one of the most amazing things about World War II is it produced some mind-blowing ideas as to how to solve a problem, and this is in part what this wall was built for, to solve the problem. How do you get a tank through a wall like that when the guns on board ships, your field guns, your tank guns just leave pop marks on it? How do you destroy that wall? You can see there, it was achieved. British Army had a bunch of really smart, crazily smart engineers that produced all sorts of crazy weapons. Most of them failed abysmally. I think during D-Day they had tanks that were supposed to be able to swim across. I think most of those ended up at the bottom of the sea. But one of the things they had was what they called the onion. I think it was called. I think it was the onion, which was a bomb that you attached to the front of a tank and you drove it up to the wall. This, I mean, the bomb is probably as big as that hole. It was mounted on a frame. Pretty much the idea was that instead of just using an explosive in one place, they packed explosive all round on this frame, because it's up against the wall and then detonated it. Reading up on this, when they did this, don't forget they did it twice. There's another hole the other side of that gap there, probably done by a similar device. But when they did that, the explosion was so powerful that it actually caused structural damage to some of the buildings in the local village. So this here is an example of how big it is. Me standing between or in that hole blown through that concrete. It's just crazy. This isn't the only thing that's here. Now, I'm not going to venture too far because the military are actually on manoeuvres at the moment in this area. If I can see them down there. But they've got indications as to what this thing looked like. This here is the rebar that's inside that wall. It's just crazy. We take this for granted these days. Most of our buildings, most of our big buildings are built this way. Well, maybe not to that same extent, but when you put it in comparison with this thing, that just goes to show you how crazy big this thing is.
There are good days coming. There'll be blues too. To take the good with the bad is what you need to learn how to do. 'Cause life ain't waiting, holds no brakes. It moves like a rolling stone, and you could be lost if you hesitate. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. Everything changes. Only change remains.
I'm going to call it a day on this vlog with the army practicing their manoeuvres all around us. I think exploring some of the other bits and pieces that are around here is not wait until next time we visit, and hopefully there isn't manoeuvres going on. I'm going to try and do a bit more of this anywhere that I find interesting. I'm going to try and do a few of these videos, and I hope that you guys will enjoy them. If you can think of anybody that might enjoy a little video on the Atlantic Wall, why not share a link to the video? If you haven't already, why don't you try and subscribe to the channel? We have quite the eclectic range of content, so I'm sure there's something there for pretty much everyone. Until next time, I hope to see you again.
There are good days coming. There'll be